thought my neighbor was just a grumpy old man. Turns out he was just lonely. When I first moved into my apartment building last year, I met the man who lived across the hall, Mr. Parker. He was in his late 60s, always wore the same brown jacket, and never said much. Whenever someone greeted him, he just nodded and kept walking. Everyone in the building said the same thing. Don't bother with him, he's just grumpy. So I didn't. I'd smile sometimes when we passed each other, but he'd just stare blankly. Then one morning, I woke up late for work. It was already a terrible day. I spilled coffee on my shirt, forgot my keys, and when I finally got downstairs, my car wouldn't start. I just sat there, frustrated, ready to cry. That's when I heard someone behind me say, "Pop the hood." I turned around, and it was Mr. Parker. Before I could even respond, he lifted the hood, poked around a bit, and within 5 minutes said, "Battery cable was loose." Then he turned to leave. I stuttered out a thank you, but he just waved his hand and said, "Next time, check your terminals," and walked back to his apartment. The next morning, I found a small note taped to my door. It said, "If it acts up again, knock on 2B, P." That note made my entire week. So, the following day, I decided to thank him properly. I knocked on his door with 2 cups of coffee, one for him, one for me. When he opened it, he looked surprised, like no one had done that in a long time. He hesitated, then stepped aside and said, "Well, don't just stand there. Come in." That morning, I sat in his tiny apartment, surrounded by old photos, dusty tools, and the smell of coffee. He told me he used to own a small auto repair shop before it shut down a few years back. His wife had passed away, and his kids lived in another country. He said, quietly, "Guess people don't need old mechanics anymore." From that day on, I started bringing him coffee every morning before work. We'd sit for 10 minutes, talk about random things, cars, life, even the weather. Over time, he started smiling more. He even began waving at the neighbors. And one morning, he said something that stuck with me. He said, "You know, kid, I used to think nobody noticed me anymore, but then you knocked on my door." I don't know what it was about that moment, but it hit me hard. Sometimes all someone needs is a small act of kindness, a smile, a conversation, a cup of coffee to remind them they still matter. Now, every morning when I leave for work, there are 2 mugs on his table waiting, one for him, one for me. And every time I see him smile, I realize maybe he wasn't grumpy after all. Maybe he was just waiting for someone to care.